to another episode of The Spark with me, C2, and my good friend, Jess Debacco, here on the Trident Network, a three-pronged digital entertainment network. We do live shows here on Twitch. We do podcasts. We also do YouTube. We're hot off the birthday party. We had a birthday party last week. Hello, Minecraft. You were there. You were there at the birthday party. Jess was telling me that she was watching the clips from it live, or the recording from it recently, which I love. What did you think, Jess?
I thought it was so fun. I mean, I caught because I was flying back from a work thing I was doing, and when I landed, I tried to put it on my phone as I was driving back, and I heard like a second, and I was like, oh no, I'm missing it. And I saw you in the
Yes.
one. I thought it was so fun and
Yeah, it was
really
super
well
fun.
organized. Like everyone got like there was collaborative. It was sweet. It was so long and well clipped.
Yeah, Val did a really good job organizing it, and everybody who showed up to play their part played their part really well. If you didn't catch it, it is in our videos. It's still in our videos, I believe. So if you want to go watch that back, you can do that. Mimi DB's here. Excellent.
There's Mimi.
There's
oh no,
Mimi.
that's me. This is Mimi.
That's me. That's Mimi and Mimi.
You made me that cup.
That's cute. That's really cute. I love that.
Isn't she the best?
You guys are cute. But yes, welcome to another episode of Le Spark, The Spark. Today we're going to talk about, I thought it would be really good to talk about our practices and the things that we have learned from either just experimenting with our own minds in mindfulness, our own groundedness, and then also things that we learned from other teachers and other people. Because the anxiety's out there, everybody. The things are, life is happening. I feel like we're like, oh no, it's the worst it's ever been now. But like, I feel like literally everyone who's alive feels that way. They're like, the world's gonna end any day now. Like, people like have felt that since the beginning of time. So yeah. I think it's just really important to be able to like be in your own life and be in your own moment and be like in your own body. And that's what me and Jess are learning how to do. And I wanted to talk about the tools that we use for that. Hi, Liam. So Jess, why don't you start with a little bit of the very first things that you taught yourself, or like the very first things that you can think of where you were like, I do this now so that I can be more present.
Yeah. So it's so weird because it's been such a journey, like since, it's funny because I think the term like God realization has been hitting me better than like awakening, because it feels like a final step. Even though it's like awakening, it's like,
oh yeah,
it's like this is the beginning, but it's like, no, I just had realization of something bigger than us, and that we're all it. So it's like that. So since that moment, which was in 2020, it's been such a roller coaster. Like at first it was like being on meds, but rejecting them, like being like, well, soon I'll be off them, and I think that that's important to include, that that's part of a spiritual practice. Is we're not monks living on a mountaintop, like being able to be masters of our emotions yet. And we may never be in this lifetime.
Unless you've literally dedicated your life to that, you're not.
Correct.
That. You don't have to be that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so until then, you can, with your outbursts and your difficulties expressing and learning how to manage and feel your emotions, burn bridges. And I think that's where I got shown, like through repeated instances. It's like, okay, I've got 2 choices. I can, like, totally fuck over everyone in my life and leave and just go on my merry way and see what happens, except I kept getting led to, like, mental hospitals. I kept getting arrested. So I was like, "Okay, clearly there's intervention being done that's outside of my control," and anyway, so I was resistant to a lot of the practices. I thought initially that I was, like, there, and then I got one spiritual coaching class that I really resonated with her. Her name's Despina Socrates, and I think she's Crystals Within on social media, and I loved her. She really spoke to me. I ended up signing up for her program, and it was really helpful. She taught me about the chakra systems and what they mean and like what needs nourishing when you're feeling certain things in your body. It brought me more awareness in my like whole body. And then and she taught me meditation, but or she encouraged meditation and like gave us some like guided meditation exercises. So I would do them like in class and on occasion. And I used to be like, if I'm meditating, the conditions need to be perfect. I need
Yeah.
quiet. I need no interruptions. I'm pissed if I get interrupted because damn it, I'm meditating.
I'm meditating.
Yeah, and this is the moment in this month that I've put aside for it, even though I know it should be more. And it literally has been since this October, so almost 3 years. I was really exhausting a lot of paths to dead ends until it became abundantly clear, and it was really at the start of you and I even starting this that oh, meditation's not a choice. It's like it's a practice. It's like exercising at the gym. Yeah, you like
It's like if you have like
geared
a
up to do
if
it.
like you hurt your knee once and you have to stretch it because if you don't that's like what it feels like. Like
Yes.
if you hurt your knee once and you have to stretch it now or you like literally hurts to use it. Like you have like you got to do it. Some way. In some
Well,
way you got to get there.
yeah, it got put to me too. And again, like it's hard like sharing this stuff because I don't know where everyone's at in their life and like how
Yes.
much I'll make sense and how much I'll be like scary to people. But like I got to a place where in my spiritual exploration, I told you, Carly, and I shared it with this guy who I've been like I'm gonna say religiously going to his class
Yeah.
every
Niche.
Monday. It's free
Yeah,
niche.
yeah.
And he's been wonderful. He's just like taught about different practices and I asked for advice because I got to a point where I'm like, okay, if none of this is real and I believe that, and if I believe I'm not my mind, I'm not my emotions, I'm not my body, I'm the observer of all these things, then why not die? You know, like then death isn't
Mm.
real. And maybe that's the point. Maybe I need to greet it with open
And
arms. Like,
that's also I think too cuz we've had this conversation before and I think
mhm,
that's where the split of like spiritual psychosis happens where it's like you you have this like so much but we are human we like this version of us is real as much for this me Carly is so like being able to hold both of them is the work where it's like
exactly.
that I'm not my personality or my family like all of this is like something that I'm creating and for the me that's creating it it's real it's really real like for
Yes.
me so like and that but that's like to bridge that constantly is like hard
And
it's hard to
without help.
hold
And without
without
help,
help
like,
yeah
if you're
that's yeah
doubting yourself and you're like, "Well, I only have myself to trust," like, then it's very difficult for anyone,
I'm
but
glad you said that
especially
without help because it is very important that we are all
right.
teaching and learning from each other.
Well, and the cool thing is, I believe, like, it's true for me and it has to be true for others, is that we're being led to who we're meant to be with, who's resonating at the time that we are, and it's important to recognize or just allow that, you know? And Nish had said similar to what you were saying in different words. He's like, "Whoa, Jess, like yes, this is a dream life, but the dream rules still apply. You will
Yeah.
die, and like don't do that. And he's like, but there's no escape. There's reincarnation. You're gonna just be
Yeah.
right back and so like that's been a lifeline for me. And he also said, he just the advice that he gave that night, coupled with a conversation with you and like one other person who I was able to talk to, was a life changing moment where he was like, it's like if you're having these experiences and again different words of what you were saying is like you need to build muscle to hold what you're observing and you're out of shape like you need to he's like it's not that you should meditate
Yeah.
you need to meditate he's
Oh.
like you need to sleep at least 7 hours every
Yeah.
night you need to take your meds you need and I was like wait you're like the first spiritual person who's advised I take my meds and he's like if you're not the body, why wouldn't you give the body what it needs? What the hell is that? And I'm like, you're so right. And it was just, it got me to embrace all the tools that I have. One of them is meds. Now I meditate 3 times a day, by the way, but
You've been
it's
meditating 3 times
management.
a day? Let's
So I,
go.
and sorry, I'm like talking so much and like nowhere
No,
near
it's
my
your turn.
end point.
No, yeah.
God bless you. It's like so I got to this place where he taught me how to meditate like for real like taught me step by step like a baby how to meditate and then he also taught me how to pray which as somebody who grew up in a Catholic church they never taught me that they just said the like
No, they were just
Hail
like,
Mary Our Father
yeah.
bullshit and then and he taught me just like how to really channel that energy into like something beautiful and I now have gotten to the place where, like I said, for the last like 2 months, I think I told you, I know I told you, I've been flitting because I have a bipolar diagnosis, other people. I've been flitting in and out of mania almost moment to moment for about 2 months. And I'll have like a couple days where it'll be calm or a couple moments where it'll be calm. And I now can physically feel the symptoms. Like I now, look at this little hair thing. I can now, I feel it in my head, and so I have to then go sit. But it's less pressure. Like I'm not like, "Oh, it needs to be for an hour, it needs to be quality or whatever." It's like I just need to close my eyes and all I do is count
Oh,
my breath.
yes. Yes.
And if I just
Yes.
count 100 breaths, then that's I know when the end point is, and I hope to get to a place where I can just have open-ended meditation, but I can be honest with myself and say I'm not there yet, and just be where I'm at, which is I'm counting my breaths. I try to get to 200 or 100, and that's it, and I do that, and it brings me back into my body, and by prioritizing practice, it's as if the day gets longer. Like, I didn't think that was possible. And it's like just in the morning like I'll be running late to work or I feel that I'm short on time if I prioritize practice I swear it's like there's time extended like I
Yes.
can get it all done it's a story my head is telling it and even if I do miss it who cares this perfectionism that we put on ourselves in practice is so insane so that's basically where I'm at is at the point I journal when I feel motivated and I don't beat myself up about it, but I do feel the benefits when I do.
Yeah.
I absolutely meditate minimum 2 times a day, but consistently three, morning and night, and then in the afternoon. And I'd like to start doing yoga, to build muscle so even my posture improves in meditation. And I'd like to keep integrating more things, but that's about it at the moment.
That's great. That's great. 3 times a day is really good.
It
That's
feels the
great.
best. It feels the best.
It's so funny because I haven't been meditating recently. I do this thing where I fall off and then I get back on because like if what I'm one of the things that I'm working on is um when I don't do something, the thing that keeps me from doing it isn't oh that I didn't do it. It's the like shame that you didn't do it. And then I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, I'm the worst." So like now I'm like, "Okay, when I don't do it, it's fine. Like, don't
Yeah.
freak out about it.
Who's
Like, cause
mad at you?
no, and that's the thing. It's like, cause
Who are you in trouble with?
it's that program that's like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And then I'm like, I'm doing it wrong. And then I don't want to do anything. And I'm like, but like that me being like, okay, it's fine. Just pick it up again tomorrow. We'll just do the same thing that we've been, and then and that works. Like just being like, okay, well, we didn't stretch tonight because we're really tired. It's okay if you're really tired. Just go to bed. Stretch tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like you're fine. You're okay. And then that, when I take that pressure off, more often than not, I actually do it. When I take the pressure off of like, oh, I missed it, I didn't do it, I like figure out a way to do it. Oh, Liam.
Yeah, what's he saying?
Liam said, I tend not to talk about mine. I have suffered with social anxiety. I think mine is down to a childhood trauma, being on and off for meds 15 plus years, done therapy, etc. Currently on meds again. That makes me feel sick. It's just a vicious cycle. My kids help me live with it. I just hope it never rubs off on them if it's a thing that can happen. Breathing is a big help, or just alone time when I can get some. Yeah, you got the two rascals.
Oh, yeah.
And video games help a lot when I can play them, just getting lost in something. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about video games, I've actually used, it's funny that you say that. I have a lot of different things that I've used. Like I have a lot of different tools that I've implemented, and I phase them in and out as needed. And one of the things that I used for a while was video games because video games put yourself in theta brainwave state. So if you're in the zone in a video game, that's an absorbing state. It's kind of why you have to be careful what kind of games you play. Because you don't want to be playing. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to you what kind of programming you want to be absorbing. But when you're in theta brainwave state, you're in a programmable state. So what I would do for a while was when I was still playing Apex a lot. And you could do that. I could do that for hours at that point. So I would voice record beliefs that I wanted to be programmed into my brain. And I would on my phone, and then I would put my headphones in, and then I would play the game with these headphones over them, and I would play the game, and I would run those myself, saying programs that I wanted to be installed in my brain while I was playing video games. And it became this like subliminal messaging system that I like created, and it worked really well for a while. But the thing about when you're programming yourself is that it has to be really consistent. And the needs of the programs that you're changing, you have to change and constantly update your programs, because like the programs that you have running are very old and they've been running for a very long time. But I did use video games to do that. So yeah. I get that using your brainwave states. I didn't think I could meditate for a very long time. I was like, I can't meditate. I have ADHD. My attention, which is, I think everybody could meditate, because it's not what you think. It's most of the time when you don't think you can, it's not what you think it is. And I think the thing that unlocked it ultimately for me was some woman on TikTok who was just like, it was on Twitter. This woman on Twitter was just like, meditating isn't, or it was probably a few people, honestly, being like, it's not stopping your thoughts. Meditating isn't stopping your thoughts. It's allowing them to happen and not letting them, not responding to them. Like you're not doing anything you're like kind of letting them because and for me, I thought it was funny, and I've been thinking about this, and I think this is why I wanted to talk about this. I had to first, but I started actually really meditating way after I had had a spiritual awakening and did all these other tools and tried to reprogram and all these other things. But like meditation is like a basic tool. Like it's a very basic tool that is like necessary if you're going to change pretty much anything about your behavior and like your presence. But I'm like the type of person who's like, I need to know why I'm doing it in order to do it, because I'm stubborn or an asshole. I don't know. But like in math, like I was better at math when I would learn the entire equation first and then go back to the beginning and then be like, oh, and this is why this, and this is why this, and this is why this. And because I knew what it was for. But in math, they teach you each base of the equation. And I'm like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this? And so when I learned like, oh, I'm part of one consciousness, like I like needed to know that I was part of everything in order to be like, oh, so meditating is just me connecting to that. great. This is great. And it feels like, I don't say correct, but it feels like this is something that helps. This is something that is necessary for me to connect to that oneness that I want to be connected to. Whereas like if you tell somebody, and I think this might be other people too, you tell somebody, oh, just meditate and make your brain be quiet. It's like, okay, well, why? For what? What is that going to do? Like, there's no
Yeah.
like, okay, you tell me this is good. You tell me it's good to meditate, but like, what does that mean? Why? Why is it good to meditate? And for me, I was
Well,
like, oh, because then you connect to the oneness, the one who knows, which is
well,
which rocks, which I love to
and
do.
and that is awesome too. And I think another thing, like just to go one step like down for me, like yes, it's the oneness and that's what I want to connect to, and it is true. Also, the biggest thing that's helped me consistently do this and have it be part of my daily practice is to release all expectation of it to be anything. Like, because I think that we hear people talk and it's like, fuck, I meditated and I didn't have any visions or I didn't
Yo,
have any downloads and
yeah.
I didn't see, an angel didn't come to me and let me access the Akashic records. That's never happened for me.
Yeah, letting
Okay.
it be whatever it needs to be when
What
you
it
do it.
is, I've realized, is it reminds your body just for a moment what peace feels like, what center feels like, just for a minute. So the more you do it, the more throughout your day you can feel like, oh, this micro moment is knocking me off center. Why?
Yeah.
Or this, because when it all just accrues, we're all just fucked up. Like, Liam, you've got kids. Like, my God, like that's so hard
And you
to
like
know
have to
like
take
what
care of
feels
them.
all right in
You
you.
have to be there for them. You have to be right there with them.
Yeah, and also like show them like part of being alive is to advocate for your alone time, and it teaches them that they can advocate for it too. So big support on you, like trusting that they'll be okay. You
Yeah.
just got to take a minute, make you the priority. But I feel it, man. That's so how could you identify like, ooh, so yeah, so for me it's just a reminder of peace. Sorry for interrupting. I just
No,
wanted to.
yeah. And I agree. Like it's just like it's not this big like it doesn't have to be you're not it's not prescriptive.
No,
You
and it's
just do
well,
it and whatever it is when you're doing it is what it is. Cuz like
right.
sometimes I'm like meditating because I'm just like I just need to be here right now. I just need to be here right now. Cool. And then sometimes I'm meditating because there is really something that like my soul wants to envision. There is really something that my soul wants to think about and like dream about, and I need to be quiet in order for it to happen. Sometimes I'm meditating like you said, like I get a vision of something. Like and it's like a vision of like you should go to the place today. Oh, yeah, I should go to the place today. And it's like but like what it is you're like closing everything down so that you can actually hear what is
Your
supposed to happen.
intuition
Yeah, what is supposed to happen
outside of meditation even.
or just close it down because it's like too loud. It's too loud right now.
Right.
I just need to chill out. And I did that I did that today. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, because I was like, oh,
Yep.
God, oh, maybe I should cancel. I'm retired. I'm on blah, 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 blah. All these things. And I was like, okay, hold on. Just 15 minutes. Just gonna.
Yep.
And then I was
Also
like,
before I
oh,
make big decisions. Yep.
there you go. But I got sidetracked. Meditate. I do a lot of things. Meditation. That's like the last thing that I learned how to do was meditation and sit there and meditate. And there's a lot of different types. And I try out different ones. I try guided ones. Sometimes I'll do like I tried a bunch of different ones. There's guided ones on YouTube. There's other teachers who provide guided meditations. There's like specific ones that have chants in them. Just being quiet and like imagining. Sometimes I imagine like myself sitting on a beach and like I'm just looking at the sunset and I'm just on a beach, and whenever anything like a thought occurs and then I get swept away by the thought, I'm like, no, I'm on the beach and I'm on the beach again. And that helps me like bring it. And it's really just the best way that I put it in my own words is like, it's just it's just training your ability to not get carried away by all of the things that your brain's making up. It's your ability to bring it back to the present. And you're just training that. And that's why when you meditate every day, you train for when you really need it, when shit's happening and you're like, okay, I gotta be here right now. So then you can bring it back to center. Is hiding in a normal thing? The only person who really knows how I really am is my missus. I think we actually, it's funny, because the clip you shared, Jess, on Instagram was
Yeah, right.
about, yeah, most of us have been trained to hide who we really are because it's not acceptable for other people. I think a lot of us, some of us, I don't know what your upbringing was, Liam. A lot of the time it's the way that you were raised. So like for me, I like I was raised kind of to be a little bit like I'm trying to fly under the radar. I don't want to get in trouble. So like I learn a pattern of like not, and like I'm criticized a lot. So then I learn a pattern of not sharing things with a lot of people because I don't want to be criticized at all. But then that closes me off from being honest with people. So then there's like a lot of like, it's not lying, but it's like, it's just like an omission of a lot of parts of myself that I don't notice because when you grow up and it works, like it works to like just not tell anybody stuff and then I don't have to deal with being criticized. So it depends on how, but I think a lot of us grew up in a good amount of us who deal with anxiety and who deal with issues now as adults were raised in a little bit of a malfunctioned way where like we weren't really loved properly or we weren't really taught how to be ourselves because we were shown and told that being ourselves and being the way that we are is not good and we have to be a certain different way or we won't be loved. It's like a conditional love thing. And like that's everybody's journey to find where that exists, but a lot of the time we're hiding parts of ourselves because we've been shown that those parts are not lovable by certain people who were raising us. But then the journey is like back to all of the parts of us are lovable. Yeah, there's parts of all of us that are like weird and gross. But we're like human beings and like in order to be full, we want to try and accept those parts and that's like hard, but it's worth it.
Well, and I think that hell yeah, man. Everything that Carly said times two. It's we talk about that a lot for sure. And where I one just as someone with like a mental illness, I don't know what your diagnosis is if it's anything outside of anxiety and no pressure to share, but like that's not all of you. That's a part of you. And by, hiding it, it's kind of making it who you are. It's kind of being like, but I don't want anyone to know that because if they know, they're going to fucking judge me. They're going to not trust me. They're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to be like weird and careful with me. And I'm going to hate
Mm-hmm.
that energy. We've been burned in our lives and rightfully so. And I know that we've talked specifically about, I've said this sentence before in here, which is even in my lifetime in high school, people were like, oh, Janelle, she's in therapy, and we've gone so far, but it's really been in a short time period. So we're injured, and maybe we've asked for help and we've been burned because people are not qualified to hold space often for more than what they're carrying and then
Yeah.
anything beyond their personal experience. So if you're not already, I know that you mentioned that the meds are making you sick. I hope that you are, but like you have to be kind of a violent, like or not violent, aggressive advocate for yourself and really communicate to your doctors and be like, hey, this med is making me sick. They change it up and the meds run their course. So like always be changing it. You're not being a baby. You're not like making it up. The world is so hard. And then if you're at all thinking and feeling, of course you're going to have anxiety, and then there's meds to help with that. And then you don't have to hide, compartmentalize. Like you're not all this, you're not all the bad parts, you're not all the good parts, but you are all of it and you've learned from both. And they get to be shown, but it is a very painful integration process and hell yeah.
Yeah. A lot of us hide.
And I felt a
It's
lot of
easier that
freedom
way.
in telling people by like me being out and just being like, look, I've been in mental hospitals, I've been arrested, like all this stuff. Like at times I get embarrassed about it, but and there are people who judge me. I'm not gonna lie. There's people who do misunderstand what I'm saying. But it also is like shining a light, and the people who are meant to connect with me connect, and it's worth more than 100 people who are not getting it. So it's like the validation for being who you are authentically, all of you, um, is definitely with a big payoff.
Yeah. Because then you can be, and then, I mean, ultimately, like, we all want to be seen and we all want to be loved for who we are. Um, and the only way you can do that is like being yourself and like sharing honestly and openly. But it is normal because that's hard because you do get rejected. And, but then, like, also it's helpful to like have a perspective that allows you to be rejected. What is it? It's like, it's not a rejection, it's a redirection. And not in a way where it's like rejection hurts really badly, but it's also like a lot of the time when you're rejected, it's a gift because if someone
Oh
rejects
yeah.
me for they don't like the way that I am, then it's like good that they did because then I don't have to have somebody in my life who doesn't like me for what
Yep.
for a no other reason than because like and like my issue is always like, but I want everyone to like me. But it's like, okay, that's literally impossible. That's sweet that you do, but it's impossible. And you should just have the people in your life that really love you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
taking
but
it
boy,
taking a bit of time for meditation and mindfulness is super helpful to reduce stress, even for a science only kind of guy like myself. I mean, the thing about that, like our Western medicine, a lot of the time is like, let's give you the drugs only, and but there's like always things that there's always more. There's always like so many things you can do. Like there's always like
right.
so many like there's so many cultures and there's so many like practices and there's so many things, especially like learning from each other, like there's so many things you can do um to help with existing. Like it's there's like a never like God, there's like journal like I'm like thinking about all the stuff that I've learned. Like I'm like, learning how to read tarot and learning how to journal and learning how to channel and learning how to meditate, learning how to even like going like having a bedtime routine and doing a bedtime routine,
Mm.
learning how to keep, and then there's other practices that like aren't like they're not like I was like, they're not spiritual practices, but they are. They're all like spiritual grounding practices, like learning how to keep your space clean, learning how to when your cycle, like if you like men have periods too, but like learning like when your cycles like it are like honoring when you're tired, canceling, but like there are so many practices that keep you like good and safe and in your body. It's like it's just an endless list
Yeah.
of things you can
And
do and
why
rotate out.
we ignore the like consistent advice, like you were saying, like yes, in science, it's proven, like it's talked
Yeah.
about, it's
Yeah.
legit. And in every faith ever recorded, that's what I'm doing in these niche classes. He just talks about like the through lines and all the faiths. And as someone who was like atheist for the majority of my life, or at least my adulthood, I'm like, oh my God, there has to be something to this. If it's in absolutely every single fucking teaching down to the sciences, why not try it? And we do so, we don't have time. We live in a society that kind of makes us feel that we don't have time, but you have to make time. It's where are you prioritizing? Are you prioritizing your stress or do you want to prioritize you and your health and your well-being? And
Yeah.
that seems selfish in our society.
But you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
I've only been on these meds like 3 weeks. Getting a doctor's appointment over here is a nightmare at the minute. Shortage on doctors. A lot of them are striking for better pay, but I'll definitely try and make an appointment. And about hiding it, my mom was really old fashioned. She would say stuff like, "Oh, you'll be okay. Get over
Uh,
it." I'll just hide it from her. And my dad, that's a different story for another day. Yeah, it's hard. It's rough. It's rough. And it's funny because like even though like you think to like, oh, I've been to therapy or like whatever, and you're like, I know all the reasons that I am away. I am the way that I am. And then like something else will fucking pop up and you're like, oh shit, another reason? Like, and it's like forever like moving through like, okay, now I know that this is a program that I deal with. This is a way that I am that is not working for me anymore now that I'm an adult. And then you go and you tackle that one, and then you go like, and it's always like, it's a never ending, like, but like me and Jess always use that illustration of like, it's a cycle, but it's going upward. Like, so there's times when you're like, I'm regressing, like I'm shitty again or whatever, like I'm acting in a way, but like it's always a cycle as you heal and as you like grow and as you become yourself. It's always going upward, but sometimes feels like you're going backwards.
Mm-hmm. It is like, and I'm so like, it's so hard, especially when we have the bureaucracy of the way the world is, like intervening with what should be happening, you know. But I do, for whatever it's worth, and I'll let off this. I believe, like, yeah, is it? I don't know why I'm like, I've heard Kaiser Permanente, like that's the one, like that healthcare group is just constantly striking and really hard to get into. But
Well, Liam's in the
anyway.
UK.
Oh, Liam's in the
Yeah,
UK. I
Liam's
don't
in
know
the
what the
UK.
hell
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
dealing
yeah.
with,
They've got the
Liam.
NHS, so they've got the national health
Wow,
system.
way
So
to know
they're
shit,
like, yeah, yeah,
Carly.
yeah. Well, I know.
Well, but at least for me though, I do call my doctor, and I have done this like, because I'll go months in between appointments because
Yeah.
they can't get me in either, and I'll call and talk to the nurse or the operator even, and just say, hey, these meds are making me sick. I need them adjusted in some way. I need to, blah blah, and it speeds up, and they communicate with the doctor, and something else happens. But yeah, I know. Also, like, thank you for just sharing. I don't need to like advise away
Yeah.
your fucking
No, we're just
situation, but I
talking.
I just relate,
Yeah.
and yeah. Um,
Yep, having
I
done a
did.
degree in psychology, it's fascinating to see how changing routines and taking time for yourself can make massive changes in your mind and body. Yeah, we learn so much. Like they're still doing so much research into like trauma and how that affects you like physically and like that like how psychologically like it creates disease and things in your body and like there
Yeah.
it's really cool and also like wild how connected the mind and the body are and the things that you
Yeah.
experience research and things I always think about The Body Keeps the Score. It's like that's like the like main book that everybody talks about. I haven't read it.
I don't know that one.
It's from the like excerpts that I've read. It's just like, oh no, like because you think sticks and stones break my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's wrong.
Yes, they do.
It's incorrect.
They hurt you worse
for life. No, but
yeah.
Thanks for doing the C2 and Jess. I feel good to talk about it. It's good to talk about it. We're all going, even like, and like I think we like. And because there is like a space for like there is and it is nice to make a space to talk about. This is why I wanted to have a show like this because like I care about having conversations like this about like what's really going on up there, man. What's going on? What's going on in your brain? Because it's been so important to me for the past 8 years, I guess. My own development has been really important to me in just my general well-being and quality of life, and my whole life improved almost immediately when I started actually being like, I think I should work on myself.
Yep.
And it just improved immediately. And the cool thing about that too is that like you think that you're going to do a lot of like heavy lifting in terms of like getting people out of your life and like you think it sounds like, oh, everything. And I guess I shouldn't say that like everything won't get destroyed because a lot of my like structures that I built were destroyed, but it was like,
But needed
but it
so.
weren't,
It
it was
needed to be
necessary,
destroyed to
and it
grow.
wasn't, and it literally wasn't me tearing it down. It was just like crumbling. So it's like I didn't
Yeah.
have to tear that down. That will just crumble, because once you start building your real foundation, that's like really your life,
Yeah.
everything that's not for you will just kind of like float out of your life.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I was saying this. There's a reason I was saying it. Oh, just yeah, getting in there, figuring out what's going on in your brain.
Yeah. Well, and it is hard. It's so daunting, to even imagine starting to integrate practices, like I said, when we're so fucking busy. And
Strapped
then
for
it's like
time.
strapped for time. I actually like pulled my journal out because I think I told you, like, I read through it, and I never read through my journals. But my page one, and I've gotten a lot better at this, like, perfection all or nothing tendency for now. It'll come back because
Oh
it
yeah,
always
it
fucking
always
does.
does.
I find the chore of journaling overwhelming. For the past forever days, I've woken up almost paralyzed with all the spiritual practices I should or could
Oh
be
my
doing, but won't.
god! Get out of
Meditate,
my brain!
stretch, journal, drink water, swim, go outside, errands for myself and others, eat a healthy breakfast, don't go on my phone. Instead of getting going and doing anything, I hide in my room so I don't have to interact with anyone and stay on my phone. Then when I do go outside, eat or swim, I'm still beating myself up for not meditating, stretching or journaling. Then like now I do journal and I get frustrated at my lack of ability or patience to write everything that's in my mind. And so,
That's so
yeah, like
real. Shut up. That's
that was
so
page
real.
fucking one, like I'm like, fuck this practice, and I'm doing it wrong and
That's
bad.
and yo, and like I always have to bring it back to like I feel like I'm fucking it up. I'm fucking this up. Like,
Yes.
and then I'm journaling and I'm like, oh god, this sucks every day. Like every day I wake up and I have all these fucking thoughts, and then I got to deal with the thoughts and the thoughts, and I know that they're fake. And then there's like it's cool. It's journaling is funny too because there's this like very meta way to do it. Like not way to do it, but way that when you're really doing like you know exactly what's happening and what's going on, but it's like, oh, it's still happening. You're like, I know that these thoughts are like not me, and like my anxiety is not who I am, and like whatever, like I'm feeling these thoughts. Give me my journal back. Everything you said, I do. Yeah. That's and I think it's funny because like, and I love making jokes about this, like your little brain gremlins and stuff too, because like we all have them. Like we all have little guys in there who are parts of us who like they want to keep us safe, and they want us to like that's really, and then that's what they're for. Like that's what anxiety is for. It's to keep just trying to keep you safe because it thinks that you're in danger. And having like compassion for that, and also not letting it make any decisions.
Or making it true, the ultimate truth. It's
Yeah,
not.
because yeah, the fight and flight response. Yeah, I do freeze and fawn. I do my response is freeze or fawn.
Yeah.
Fight, flight, freeze or fawn. I'm a freezer and a fawner. I love to do nothing.
Yep.
And also find the most influential or powerful person and ally myself with them so that I won't have to worry about like getting punished or whatever. I'm always like my
Yeah, they
brain's
got it.
always
They
like
got
I'm
it.
gonna get punished. I'm gonna get yelled at. Like my brain is like, what are we doing? I'm not doing it right. Yeah, you and then like scientifically speaking, the other reason for the tools is like, your brain doesn't know the difference between like when you're making up scenarios, because there's also like there's ways we can make up scenarios that are not happening, and then we're stressed out and our body is producing like stress hormones, and our body doesn't know that that's not happening. Like our body doesn't know, like when we're imagining stuff, our body doesn't know that that's not real. Like
Yeah.
like another important reason we do it is so that we can be in our body when we're actually safe, because they're like, I'm not going to be like there is going to come a time when you're not safe, but like there are times when you're not safe in the world. it's a big world, and there are times when you have to move out of the way really fast, or there's times when you have to grab the kid. Like, there are times when those reactions are necessary, and we're operating a very complex machine all the time. Like, this is a very like high tech fucking meat mech we're running. So like part of being able to run it is to know when I actually do need to do my thing and have the hormones run. Because if you're sitting at your desk and your adrenaline's pumping, like, that's like the system's not regulated, and we got to figure out how we're gonna turn the dial. Sometimes I'm meditating, I feel like I'm like in my brain, like turning, like,
Yeah.
we need to go and then do this, bring this down, bring that up, like like changing it. Truth, our brain is amazing, but we are way less rational than we like to believe. Oh yeah, we're rational. I mean, and then that's like, what's rational? What's real?
Right.
Creating our own realities.
Oh, yeah, man. It's like, if all that we can stress is how hard we're in this with you, like, here
We're
we
on
are,
it constantly.
like sharing our experience, and it could look like we're advising or we have it all together. It's like, no, man, we're just as much guessing and trying as anyone. And here's what's helped us, knowing that we're on this path with a whole lot of freaking people coming at it from a whole lot of different angles and practices and thought processes. So, dude, and like, look, I'm just in bed. I just like caught myself on camera. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't.
Yeah, we're relaxing. We're relaxing. I keep relaxing. I have to go to the bathroom really bad.
Stop. What'd you say?
I have to go to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, okay, all right, Carly.
Hold it down.
Go to the bathroom, and here's what we get to do, because I could come up with things to say, but I got nothing. Let's take this moment. It won't be long because she's just gonna go pee, where we get to close our eyes and just breathe. Don't worry about any thoughts that come up. Don't worry about anything that happens. We're just gonna hold space together with however many, 7 of us in here. Let's hold space together and close our eyes. Chime.
Bing. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
And it's funny.
That's a good one. I love when you do that. I love when you're like, all right, let's be quiet.
Let's be fucking quiet.
Let's be quiet. Oh, I love to be quiet. I know it doesn't seem like I do, but I love to be quiet.
I know. No. We do. But when we're not, okay? I have, like, because a thing, I don't know if I told you this, Carly, but like, I've noticed, again, my goal for meditation is always just to like calm, go back to center, and let whatever be, but not to have some experience, not to have some revelation or an answer to a question. And that's been a huge shift for me. And it's been what I personally need, because I get so ramped up during the day and with mania and all this shit I'm scared of. when I close my eyes, I can tell, like, I'm not done until my eyes stop darting. So, like, when I close my eyes, I could feel my eyeballs, like, kind of being active,
Yeah.
and I just keep breathing, and eventually my eyes are still, my eyelids are relaxed, and it feels so good. And I'm curious, I don't know if that's something you can notice, if that happens to
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, from in my experience with my own meditation, um, I I would also get like I would get frustrated sometimes when I started. Even now I get frustrated because I'm like, I'm not calming down. Like, why am I not calm yet? Like, it's very like, it's like, oh, I'm trying to
Like, keep
meditate.
going.
And it's, yeah, and it's a lot of that too. Like, I was experimenting with the amount of time. So, like, sometimes it would be like, I always do a random amount of time. Like, if
Yep.
I'm putting on a timer for it, I always do a random amount of time because it's like my body kind of knows, like, if I do the same amount of time for a while, my body kind of knows when 15 minutes is if I keep doing 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be anticipating that. So I'll do 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
Oh, that's
20
good,
minutes, 20 minutes,
yeah.
20 minutes, half an hour. Like, so then I like, it's like I'm switching it around. So it's all like a negligible amount of time. That's a good amount of time, but it's not, I'm not expecting, okay, the timer is going to go off.
Right.
And then what also helps me, so yeah, I do find like I'm like, okay, I'm just calming down, I'm just coming to center, and then there is a moment where it's like, okay, this is fine,
It clicks.
however long
Yep,
this is lasting is fine. and then
yep.
and then it's fine, and then there's no, like, I have no anticipation for the timer, I have no anticipation for when it's going to be over, I'm just breathing. But there is like the beginning moment, and I think that's the hardest thing to get, for me, has been the hardest thing to get used to with meditating, is like the moment before you find the flow of it, where you're like, I'm not calm, like, and you're just like you're just like, come on, be calm. But it's literally just like, okay, that thought, okay, goodbye, okay, that thought, okay, goodbye, and you're literally just like, okay, like, and it's
Ah, I
like,
love that
but the more that
mantra.
you do it, it also helps. I found a mantra. I was like, I looked up some type of meditation, I can't think of the name of it, but I looked up the type of meditation, and then it was like, here's a type of this guided meditation, and it was like, it started with, you breathe in, say, I am not the body. You breathe out, I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. And it's funny because at first it was really funny. My brain was trying to latch on to what I was saying and like argue with it, or like be like,
Yeah,
let's like
totally. I
think
totally
about
know.
it. But when you say
Yep,
like, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, that's literally you telling yourself to be quiet. Like it's literally like, shh, shh.
yep,
Because
yep.
every time I would say, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, it would be like, you're fine sitting here. You're fine not thinking. You're okay. Like, it's gonna be
Mhm.
fine. And it was just funny because like I would say it, and then my brain would be like, well, and then but I would say, I'm not the body, and my brain would be like, well, and then I'd be like, I'm not even the mind. Oh, okay. But so it like tells you to be quiet. And that really helped me. I wasn't chanting or anything. I wasn't using any mantras when I started. I would just be focusing on, like, I'm on the beach, or like I'm on like or as I'm on a raft in the sea. Like I would focus on that. But chanting that repeatedly, I'm not the body, I'm not even the mind, it's like, it keeps me like, it's almost like, and it keeps my breathing. So I'm not the body. I am not even the mind. I'm not the body. I'm not even the mind. And that, like, because focusing
Yeah.
just on the breathing would make me nervous, but if I was talking and breathing, it was just easier. And then I was
You say it
just
out
kind of
loud
like,
or internally?
I say it out loud. I can't. You could say it
Mhm.
internally, and there have been times when I've said it like internally. Like if I'm like, sometimes a couple of times I've been in public and I've just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
goosh, like then I'll just be like, I am not the body, I'm not even the mind, and I just say it
Yep.
internally. But saying it out loud helps. It's almost like and that's the other thing about meditation is before I really meditated, I did tons of meditative things. So I would use mindfulness within, like I played solitaire for 3
And
years. I
that's
would
real
play,
always.
yeah, and I would play solitaire every night for like an hour, and I would just be playing solitaire and just be still with nothing, like, but like the meditativeness of shuffling the cards, putting the cards down, counting the cards out, playing the game, and like something that, so there, it is helpful to have something that like is going, but like isn't, you're not concentrating on it and you're not thinking about it. So like you could, and people meditate, that's like in the True Love book by Thich Nhat Hanh, where he's like, yeah, you can meditate while doing the dishes, you can meditate while just before you answer
Karma
the
yoga.
phone. Yeah, exactly. So there's tons of different ways there's to meditate, and there's no one right way, but it's like experimenting, helping me find. And then like it's also was helpful to me to know that like there are different meditations for different things. Like and then sometimes when you sit down, your body wants you to think about like everything that you're excited about, and then you're just kind of like, wow, I'm meditating. And then there's other times when it's like I'm just trying to be quiet, and there's other times where it's like, so like it it's whatever you need it to be, it is that, which is
Yeah.
helpful because it doesn't have to be just like, because sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want to feel that way or whatever. And it's just like, just sit down and see
Yep.
what's cooking. What's cooking in there?
Um, it seems Liam said
The breathing
the
exercises are crazy. When I first had therapy and they told me to breathe, I was like, this isn't going to do shit. Oh, never mind. Isn't that funny? It's funny how little we breathe. Like,
yeah.
how little, like, because it's an automatic process. Like we know that breathing is like in our brain for the most part, it's an automatic process, but also that like sometimes we need help doing it too. Like it's both.
Hmm. Yeah. It is like, it is when you look at it, like anything in your life, like you have full permission to be doing anything that you're doing, even if it's nothing, even if it's you being a dick, even if it's you really hurting people, you have permission to do that. How do you feel? What do you want to do? Like that's what keeps us not doing that, because it hurts us to hurt people, you
Yeah.
know? And but like you have permission, like anything you do, you have permission to. And the way that I got to, and where Carly got to, the way that we got to these levels of like moments of grace for ourselves, I should say, moments, they fleet sometimes.
Oasis.
Uh
The oasis
yes.
in the sea of
Is
life,
through
in the desert of life.
yeah, is through these practices that are constantly ebbing and flowing and transforming and growing and
Mm-hmm.
doing this and doing that. But yeah.
And I will say, experimenting, this is gonna be my fucking, I'm always the like, I will say figuring out ways to not be distracted by devices is a very useful skill to like like not be distracted by, name your device that distracts you, name your thing that distracts you.
Yeah.
um Useful to experiment with your relationship to that and how you can be in control of your time, and the way that you interact with things. Like
Yes.
recently, I've experimented for the past few years with media deprivation, which is like I'm not reading, I'm not listening to music with words, I'm not going on social media. I can only really, usually when I do media deprivation, the only thing that I can do is text my friends and like do, if I'm at work, if I'm doing work stuff, like do work stuff. But it's like nothing into my brain, just only out. And that really helped me to see like how much like distraction like numbs the things that you need to hear inside. But also it helped me like doing that many times now in different capacities and in different variations of like degree of seriousness. So there would be times when I was like, okay, I'll do a media deprivation, but it will only be social media. So I'll only be off social media, or I'll do a media deprivation, but I will still stream, but I'll do like, but all the other times I won't, or like phasing in and out what I was doing. But that helped me. Now what I try to do for most of my time is like, I've started only going on my phone for social media between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. And I'm like, whoa. And I wanted to do it because I was like, because I got laid off. So like I've had a lot of time on my hands. So I've had all this time and I'm like, oh God, there's so much time. Like, what do I do with all this time? And there was a weekend where I was so tired and I was just on my phone, and I like saw that and I was like, I don't really want to do that. Like legitimately in my life, I don't want to sit on my phone, you know? Not that there's any moral right or wrong way to interact with anything, but like for me it was like, do you want to just be on your phone? And I was like, no. So then I was like, how do I do this in a way? How do I have a relationship with this device in a way that is like I'm the one dictating it? Because there's a lot of times when I don't feel like I'm dictating it, even though I don't get notifications from apps. The only notifications I get are like text messages. That's it. Like I don't get notifications. There's nothing. It's just me feeling like I'm gonna be, and it's like a dopamine addiction. We all have a dopamine addiction. But I did it. I started doing that, and I was like, whoa, like it like kind of gave me like a little bit of room to like breathe. But it was really hard in the morning. It's really hard in the morning because I want my little I want my eyeballs, I want my information. But it really helped me like kind of orient myself to like whatever needs, and like not needs to be done, but like whatever I actually want to do. So like I experiment with that a lot, actually, with like not being online, not like figuring out what the level of interaction is for me, and not like letting anything else outside of me tell me, like inform what that is, I guess. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. And you were the first person who even suggested a concept like media deprivation to me. And that was actually, I think, even well prior to your awakening, wasn't it? Like you were
Yeah.
doing that.
I was
Like,
reading The Artist's Way, which is like a
that's
really good
right.
book. That's a really good one for like if you're trying to get a personal practice in gear. That's a really good book. It's
Right.
very woo woo. So if you don't like that, you will have to adjust your concept of God. In
Yeah,
general, yeah,
right.
you just have to figure out what your concept of. But like,
Right.
if you can get past that, I don't even say get past that. If you can have a viewpoint that is accommodating,
Curious and open,
it's a
even.
really good, but it's a kind of a really intensive practice because it's a 12-week like course program that this woman created, and it's really good. It's a really good. That was like the first book that I read that was like, maybe it's time for an awakening, and then I was like, whoa, an awakening.
Yep. Well, and I think that's the thing too, to like remind ourselves, and I think I've even mentioned it on here, a niche teaching that he says all the time is, if you desire worldly pleasures, being, social media, whatever the fuck, dessert, alcohol, whatever you're using to cope. If you desire your worldly pleasures, please do go out and get
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
only so that you may see for yourself that they don't ultimately fulfill you. And at first, I took that as heard a not spoken idiot at the end of it, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
implied like a rude thing. It's not. It's so gracious and it's so true. Literally do everything that you're doing, but observe what you're doing. That's all. And through meditation you can do that a little bit, where it's like, okay, you just spent, like you said, Carly, like, you don't want to do this. Well, that came from you doing it to
yeah,
see that you didn't want to do it. And it's
yeah,
like, kind of have to, you know how they say with like alcoholics, like hit a rock bottom. I think that's like a daunting thing. It's really, you just exhausted alcohol's benefits to your life.
Yeah.
And you see that it now the negative outweighs the positive, and you are now brave enough to face and walk and take a turn that you've never taken and to do without your one lifeline that you think is your lifeline, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
and that's true for all of us, just some of our addictions are more socially acceptable, like working too much, working out in lieu of feeling, you know, all of these
Mhm.
things. And so, yeah, don't when we say these things of like, oh, do without and all of these things, it can add to the guilt. But it's like, no, you have to do all the things that you're doing only so that you yourself may see this isn't doing it. In fact,
Yeah.
it's making me unhappy. I'm
Yeah.
turning to this for happiness and it's making me
I
unhappy.
don't
There's
like
an
this.
imbalance here.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can only do different when you know different. So go, indulge, fucking yeah. And then when you realize that this isn't it, maybe sitting still and doing the thing we're so afraid of, which is just feeling the shit we're trying to avoid. And that hurts. And that fucking is scary. And you're alone and you think, oh, this will kill me if I let all these emotions hit me. No, it won't. But we're shoving it in a closet all our lives and it's busting out whether we willingly open it or not. So it's like it can come in waves or it can come all at once. Either way, it's coming. So, yeah.
And it cannot be understated how like it is difficult to
Yes.
implement any practice at all. Even if it's like working out or like whatever it is always going to be difficult at first to implement it
It's
for
gonna hurt.
various reasons, but it is hard. Like,
Yeah.
but you generally, most people, I imagine, I think, get to a point in whatever journey they're on where they're like, okay, well, what I'm doing right now isn't working. So,
Yeah. You have to exhaust all paths that
and you
your
have
brain and
and
your
you have
ego is wanting to
options.
explore, and you have options, and then it'll turn you by following it, but just with permission. It's like, go live. You're not in trouble. You're not doing anything wrong. We don't know shit. We're floating in space and we do not know anything about this so-called infinite universe. We don't fucking know. And
That's not our
so
job.
go. No, and you're not going to die and look down on your life and go, "Ah, I shouldn't have had that pizza. Like I
I
shouldn't
always
have." No,
think
what?
about that when I like make a decision. I'm like, will I regret this on my deathbed? And that helps.
Yeah,
Will I
it's like,
regret this when
no.
I'm dying? Like, probably not.
You're going to regret not enjoying what you're doing. You're going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
regret that you beat yourself up for what you were doing, but like not that you did it, you know? And it's like, I mean, that's not true for all things, but you know, and it is a go forth and live and it took me, like I said at the beginning, 3 years after knowing I needed meditation to start integrating it.
I think
And
I told you to meditate too.
every person in the world has told me to
You were
meditate.
like I have this issue and I don't know. And I was like, meditate on it. And you were like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Oh, right. Which I have, and I would sprinkle it, is what I'm saying. Like I would do it here and there. I would do it here and there. Now I can't not do it for my survival. And it feels and it is working. So I am
That's
doing
great.
it. And I'm gonna and to see that there's no end in where you can go. There's experiences to be had. There's lengths of time. There's I know that I'm at such a beginner level. Like my curiosity is so still wide open. It's not like I'm meditating 3 times a day. Now I'm bored. It's like, ooh, okay, what's the next like mountaintop with
That's
this?
cool.
And it's never ending.
That's
So,
cool.
but I had to do a lot of fucking like dumb shit to get to this point. You know, I had to do a lot of trial and error in other directions to go, fine, I'll take the advice I've heard on
I'll do the thing that everybody said I should do.
my.
Only the people who care about
Still.
me, who have my best interests at heart, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Is it pep
Excellent.
talk time, Carly?
It is pep talk time. It's just about that pep talk time. Should I think I need to start meditating? Yeah?
Who said
You'll
it?
figure it out, Liam.
Yeah, dude. You don't need to. You deserve to. You
You
deserve
deserve
to start
to.
meditating whenever you want
It'll be
to.
cool. And
It'll
I
be
say
cool.
that like not even to be like it'll be great. But like, it's cool. It's like when you like, it's cool to learn that skill and to have it and to know that you have it at your disposal is like, nice. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I learned this skill. It's like, and it's
And
like
I'll
any
go
other skill
one
that you need to, that you want to learn. Go one further.
I will go one further. It'll save your life. It'll change your life.
Damn.
And yeah,
She
like
said
it'll
it.
be cool. Also, I
And it'll
do
be
agree.
cool.
But also,
It'll save your life.
I'm just gonna say it all in. It'll change your life. It'll save your life.
It'll save
Do
your
what you
life.
want.
And you can get there, and there's a lot of tools that you can have. There's a lot of tools. Journaling's a good one. Any kind of mindfulness practice is a really good start to meditation. I think I had to do mindfulness practice before I even tried to do meditation. Guided meditations exist. And if you find, there's some banger ones too. Like if you find some good ones, there's some ones that you won't like, but there's some that are like, this rocks.
I've been for specifically what you need. Like if you're like guided meditation for grief, or guided meditation for grounding, guided meditation for heart chakra, or like wherever you're feeling that you need most help, or guided meditation for anxiety, like whatever. They have it on YouTube and
there's
everywhere.
Someone talking to you and leading you through it, and it's really nice. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good stuff.
It takes a village, and we got a village, y'all.
It takes a village, and we got a village. All right, it's pep talk time.
Pep talks. Who wants one?
Does anyone in chat need a pep talk? Nice to look it up. Yes, sick. Yeah, look it up. Have a Google.
Anytime. Let it come in its waves. Let it come in its waves. Yeah, if anyone, so Carly and I always end the show giving
with the option.
Yeah, we give each other pep talks.
Yeah.
But we always want to first open it up for the off chance that one day someone's actually going to take us up on it and want a pep talk for themselves. You're welcome. It could be about anything. We'll just shower you with pep talk. And the cool thing about them is to say, and even if it's just us pep talking each other, is it's what we all need to hear because we're all each other. Like we're all dealing with the same freaking hurdles and shit and self-talk, negative self-talk and all of that. So no pressure, no worries. We're going to just be quiet. Come in anytime, guys. And if you change your minds or if it comes in late, no worries. Until then, shall we just hit each other?
Do it. Hit it up. Hit it.
Okay, I think I went first last time, and I think I need you to go first, unless you need me to.
So I'm going to go first.
Okay, great. Let me get comfy.
Do me. I need to eat better. I eat like shit. We're going to do it. We're going to do it for Liam. Whee! A pep talk about eating better. I'll go first, and then you go.
Okay,
Jess.
Great.
Okay, eating better. This is actually great because I'm the same way. I'm trying to eat better. Honestly, it is not easy it is not easy to eat better. Very honestly, like I know like in the UK has similar issues, not as bad as the US's issues, but like there's just a lot of like distracting, delicious food that like we don't need to be eating, and it's really, 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 really hard to eat better because you need a wealth of information that you don't always have time to get. So it's okay. First of all, it's okay if you don't have good eating habits because a lot of people don't. And it's okay that you feel like you're an adult. It's like, cause I know that there's a lot of shame around like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know how to do this and I'm an adult. How could I be so like, there's a lot of shame. So dealing with that shame and dealing with that, like, how do I not know this? How do I not know this? Like allow that shame, but, and then recognize it as like, I'm feeling shameful because, you know, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I don't have the knowledge. I feel like whatever the shame is, and it could be different, but like there is a lot of shame around that. Whatever that is, allow that, and then don't let it stop you from learning, because the shame is telling you like, I feel ashamed because I don't know enough. Okay, so that means that I need to be a beginner and I need to learn some things. Or like if there's a interesting book, or if you see a clip and somebody's like recommending a thing, and allowing yourself to make that a priority. And when you're reprogramming, the shame is always going to try and come up and say like, well, you don't have enough time and you're just unhealthy and you're going to be this and you're going to be that. Um, and the meditation will help with this too. Um, like, like allowing it and then letting it go and doing the thing anyway. Allowing is like, okay, I feel like I'm a beginner, but that's okay. I'm still gonna follow this, food person and like follow a recipe, or I'm still gonna buy this book that has a bunch of recipes that help me learn how to cook with vegetables. And as you explore it, you will understand more about what you need to learn, and you will understand more about what is important to you. And the main thing about eating better that helped me, and that I think helps a lot of people, is like, I deserve to feel good in my body. Like and the knowledge is out there, and I can, like, there is good food, and we do know, and we're so lucky that we're in an age of information where you don't have to go get a nutritionist's license to learn what's good. You could see a nutritionist, but like, you don't even have to. You could get a few books. You could follow nutritionists on TikTok or on Instagram. Like, there's so much information that you are like, as long as you don't give up, you can help yourself, which is like, we're so lucky to live in a time where like we can help ourselves. I need to feel better in my body. My IBS is telling me to do better too. Yeah, and you can, and it's rough to start, like, just like anything, it's rough to start, but like, as you progress, you will feel better, and that's worth it. That's worth the time.
That was a good one.
Pep talk.
That was a really good one. Especially because like that's like, yes, shame, all of it. It's so right. So too, a huge ditto on what Carly said, for sure. Like, just to multiply that by 2, and then to go at it a different angle. I think the biggest thing that has presented throughout this, even through like seeing that you're at work and you're going on coffee and willpower, and you've got kids and you've got all these things, my pep talk to you is to remember that you are an individual in your life that deserves to be number 1 priority. Not number 2, not number 3, not number 4, not number 5. And whether you have partners or family or kids or whatever relying on you, it will be met with such reward, I promise, if you take care of you, and it will trickle down. But by making everybody else the priority, that's when, like, you can't even be present with them. It's just like running through the machine, and you're so tired and oh my God, and depleted. How could you think about like having healthy food? You're tired. It's the end of the day. Put a freaking pizza in the oven. Let's go, or whatever it is. And then it's even making you sick, like, and I do a dance competition with some kids. I'm the MC. It's very cute, but I always take a minute and talk to the parents in the audience, especially the ones who are like dealing with graduating kids. And I'm like, just the most selfless thing that you can do is actually to show all the different aspects of yourself and expose all the different needs that you have, because it allows your kids to have all those needs and to nurture them as well as they move on in their life in the immediate and in their life down the line. And I always say to them, I'm like, the same way that these kids dance is their whole life, they dance, they love it, and it's their whole life. It's not the only thing about them. It's like, you're a parent and they're your whole life, but it's not the only thing about you. And it seems like, well, I don't have time to do that. And guess what? It's okay if you don't. If you feel and believe that you don't have time right now, and you may not, but just hear these words for whatever they mean. That if you take time and you always prioritize yourself, and instead of like, what are we all doing for dinner? Be like, okay, I want to do this. What does everyone else want? And then if everyone else wants something different, you can stick to your guns and show that you can have something different. That is possible. On your drive home from work, unless you're working from home, I'm not sure the dynamic. If you're driving somewhere, If you go to the store, pull over on the side of the road. It's somewhere a little nice and quiet. I meditate in the car all the time. Put 5 minutes aside for you on the way to the store, on the way home. If you just check in and like that, just starting just by making you the priority. And it is deserved and it is the best move for everyone involved. It will all trickle. The diet will come because you'll be feeling better. You want to eat food that enhances that good feeling. But when you're like, oh, I just need comfort, I can't think, and I just need this burger, or whatever, it's like, of course. And I relate. I definitely have been. I will be a variant of fat my whole life, I always said, and I'm cool with it now. Like, whereas before I hated it. And ever since I just embraced that, I actually eat so much better just because I eat what I like and I just eat with permission to eat, and I'm not, and anyway, but IBS is different and it feels bad. Okay, I feel like I'm just getting into rambling territory. Liam, it was a pleasure having you in the chat today
Yes,
and
Liam.
everybody. My
Liam and
gosh,
Minecraft and
Minecraft.
Meeby DB.
Mimi DB.
Thanks, guys. Felt good to hear this. I'm glad. It was our first pep talk. We did one. That was our first pep talk to someone else. Liam, thank you so much for being brave and being like, here's a thing that I need a pep talk about. Because you were the first one. You were the first one who yes, and letting people know that you're struggling with a specific thing and you'd like a pep talk because we're all here for each other and we all learn and grow in community with each other. And I'm really glad that you wanted a pep talk from us. Very cool.
Yeah, we pep talk each other at the end of this show and after. Like, we're just a pep talker crew to each other. So it's
good to share.
Nice.
It's good to spread it out. It's gonna work out, Liam. I promise you.
Oh yeah, man.
Excellent. Yay, number one! You're number one! Awesome. Right! We did it. That was another episode of The Spark with me, C2, and Jess Debacco. I had so much fun talking about our practices, mainly meditation, but there's so many practices out there. If you feel like you want one, go, honestly, get on one of the, there's, you look up meditation and then the internet's be like, oh, you want to learn how to meditate? It'll tell you.
I really recommend Nish the Fish. He's got
Nish the Fish. Do you want to type it? You want to type it in the chat?
Yes. He's on Instagram and TikTok and, at first a lot of the shit was like just over my head. He'll talk about like Sanskrit. He'll talk about all these things. But he's the one who taught me how to meditate in such a like baby step way that also had like info backing it. They weren't just like talking like they intuited it or like this is how he's like, no, this is based off sciences and these texts and all of these things and here's why. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It's great. There's so many resources and y'all are gonna find them. But thanks for tuning in here on the Trident Network, a 3-pronged digital entertainment network. If you like what we do on Trident, always feel free to sub. You can sub to us on the Twitch. We also have a Patreon. But it's not, the command doesn't work, so never mind. I will see you all next month. I will see you all on my channel on Monday. And then me and Jess will be back here next month. Thank you. Bye, everybody. I love you.